Well, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa abandoned his Workers' Day speech in the Northwest yesterday after striking mine workers booed him off stage, accusing him of not caring about the poor. He was due to speak in his capacity as ANC President at a Cosatu rally in Rustenburg when a protest by Sibanye Stillwater workers, brought the event to a halt. They've been on strike for 2 months now, demanding a salary increase of 1,000 rand. Ramaphosa tried to speak to the workers but was eventually ushered out of the Royal Bafokeng Stadium by police officers and bodyguards. So let's unpack this further. We're joined now by former Cosatu President Willie Madisha. He joins us on the line this morning. Mr. Madisha, it's great to have your perspective on this story, particularly in your role as the former Cosatu President. How should we read what happened yesterday in the Northwest?
Michelle, good morning and thanks for inviting us. I must indicate that one feels extremely sad when one looks at what used to be the second biggest trade union federation on the entire African continent. In my time, it had 33 affiliated unions and not less than 4 million workers. And what is actually happening today is extremely, extremely sad. It has been captured by the ruling party, and therefore what the ruling party instructs Cosatu and her affiliates to do is breaking the working people in their country. I must perhaps indicate what the main problems are there today in South Africa, which the Federation can never address. If you allow me, I can go on.
Please.
To indicate that.
Please go ahead.
I want to say that the workers in South Africa can't eat, they have no houses, they can't be helped to ensure that their children are educated, etc. The highest levels of unemployment today in the history of South Africa is what we see. For the youth, we know that it's plus minus 75%. Secondly, for the overall, including adults, and I said this in Parliament, we have millions of people, more than 55% of the South Africans don't work. In 2018, for example, government signed an agreement with the public sector unions, but the government refuses to implement that agreement. Cosatu can't do anything. Three, the mine workers were promised 1,000 rand during negotiations, but there is no implementation. Government can't do anything because the people who own those mines are people such as President Ramaphosa and his brothers-in-law. Number four, workers are denied UIF, for instance, and maybe many other things. I want to point out that 34 workers were killed in Marikana, as our people will know. And who are the owners of that Marikana? President Ramaphosa, who it was indicated that at some stage he gave orders that those particular people must be shot. Has anything been done? Nothing. In one mine, for example, at the moment, 3 workers were trapped for a very, very long time. Is the government doing anything? No. The other thing is that why are there a few people who work in South Africa not given, a living wage, but are promised, as we were told in Parliament, 20 rand? Why? And Cosatu can't do anything. These are but a few things that the working people in our country are faced with, and this is a government which rules the workers, and this is a Cosatu that can't do anything to protect the workers at all. Therefore, I agree with the workers in their anger.
Yeah, and many people do believe that they were justified in the kind of action that unfolded at the stadium in the Northwest yesterday. The disconnect between what mining bosses earn, tens of millions of rands, over the course of their tenure, most likely hundreds of millions of rands, in the face of what mine workers themselves earn, and all they're asking for is a 1,000 rand increase in this particular case.
Exactly. If you talk about the president, for example, who owns very many mines in the country, together with his brothers-in-law, it's a family thing. and they are billionaires. He, for example, and his brothers-in-law are in the top 10 richest people in South Africa. But even apart from that, in the entire world, I'm saying world, not only Africa, in the entire world, one of his brothers-in-law is in the top 100 richest people. Now, when you come back to South Africa, the mine workers and other workers, of course, are told they will get an increment of 20 rand, which, like I said in Parliament, cannot even buy a loaf of bread. But the workers are told you'll get extra 20 rand. What is that? That is extremely sad. And then what COPE says must be done, a number of proposals, which I shall, put to South Africans. But then I want to indicate that this government has failed. The people who run this government have failed. I feel extremely sad, and actually I must indicate that I feel like crying because very many members of the cabinet who are there, I led with them in the trade union movement. Most of them were my secretaries. You look at Kwede Mantashe, you look at Tula Zinesi, you look at Ibrahim Patel, a number of them, they are the richest people today in South Africa. And when workers rise to say, we are not happy, these are the people who rise and say, you shut up.
Yeah.
This is sad, really.
It's sad, it's appalling, and there are so many other ways to describe it. Willie Madisha, let me thank you for your time this morning on the AM Report. Good to get your perspective as former Cosatu president on the story.